Welcome to Wicked Lies, a podcast of how truth was destroyed by lies. Caution: podcast contains real people who were destroyed by wicked lies. For mature audiences only.
Hi, so I'm Dawn with Advocates for the Falsely Accused, and with me are Julie and Eric, and we're going to talk just a little bit today, short on what we're working on and what we're planning for the future. So, Julie, you want to go first?
Hi, everybody. I am part of a parental alienation awareness group, and with AFFA, and I recently went to a parental alienation rally at the Capitol in Idaho, and we're still trying to get awareness about parental alienation out there. I hope that anybody that is being alienated by anybody, their family or an ex-spouse or whatever, reaches out and gets more information and gets involved wherever you are. Eric?
And this is
All right.
Eric Scott.
That was very well put, Julie. My name is Eric Scott. I was a former duly elected mayor for 3 terms and then falsely accused. My life was destroyed. My mother's life was greatly impacted, especially her health. We saw devastation in every circle, and it continues today. So I am proudly part of the AFFA group, and we would like to see changes made so that more people and victims of false accusers and their families and friends don't have their lives devastated, because it not only affects the people who were accused, but all the people that are around them. And it's rampant in the United States. For those of you that don't know, in September, there's an International Falsely Accused Day. The last I heard, we had 16 nations having the programs and activities on that day. So, in fact, it's a worldwide scourge. Briefly, I would like to state some goals that I personally have. And the first and most important to me is that there be an accountability in a registry being formed, so that if a person is found to have falsely accused someone, they go on a national registry like a sex offender registry. That might curtail their future false accusations, and we might see certain people have patterns, just as vexient litigants do. The next thing is I'd like to see media accountability, because the sensationalized media that destroys people and convicts them before they even had their day in court needs to end. And they need to clean up what they've done on the internet, so that algorithms that Google relies on don't portray the person for the rest of their life in such a light that they were guilty, without letting the people know, or anybody researching them or researching in the future their past, that they were not guilty and were falsely accused. And the biggest hurdle is we need the government to create a law, a national law, that if you are found to have falsely accused someone, you will then be prosecuted, and if found guilty, go to jail for exactly the amount of time that you would have put the individual that you lied on in jail for. So that's my brevity, and I'm again so happy this organization exists. It gives me hope. It gives me, quite frankly, sanity. And thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Eric. So, earlier this month, I went to the Innocence Network's conference in Chicago, and met a lot of great people from all the innocence organizations around the country. 300 exonerees were there, people who'd spent, anywhere from like 8 to 60 some odd years in prison for something they did not do. Um, it was a wonderful event. I met some people who were interested in AFFA. Other than that, I got a very nice thank you from a local gentleman. The teaching association was trying to take his teaching license away because in a conference with a teenage girl, where he'd offered her some iced tea, it somehow turned into that he gave her alcohol, and so they were trying to take his teaching license away. There was since we're local, I knew an attorney that I could recommend, and the person helped him by basically pulling in the other person who was in the room. There was a counselor in the room that the teaching association never interviewed. And when it got to the hearing and this person said, well, yes, I was in the room the whole time he offered her iced tea, they dismissed the case. Sadly, he may never teach in the area again, but it's small victories. There's always harm done with false accusations, even when you win the case. The other thing I'm working on is trying to help somebody in Los Angeles whose innocence case got dropped, and seems like a pretty egregious case of police misconduct, and we're trying to either push them into picking it up again or possibly looking, for a commutation through the governor's office. So that's some of the things that I'm involved in, and that's all I've got. Did either of you have anything else?
I think those are amazing things. And I think that so many people out there don't understand false accusations. They believe that if you're accused of something, then you must have done something to that there's enough evidence for you to have at least been accused or at least have been arrested. But that is the biggest fallacy of all of this, is that you could be completely
True.
innocent.
And it could just be one person's word that gets you
Right.
in front of a judge and thrown in prison. So,
Right.
yeah. So anyway, if you're watching this and you want to get involved, reach out either on our Facebook page, Advocates for the Falsely Accused, through our website, www.theaffa.org, or bounce me an email at either admin@theaffa.org, theaffa.org, or dawn@theaffa.org. And we'd love to hear from you. We definitely need help, and this is a very important cause that we'd like to raise awareness on and get people involved. Thanks.
And Eric,
And you're not alone.
Eric, I wanted to bring
You're
up
not alone.
right, that's true. Eric, I wanted to bring up the fact that here you were mayor, and so it was so easy for them to come after somebody in the public, and uh there's a case right now in Maine where I used to live, where there's a woman that is on a board, and she is using her power as a board member to abuse a citizen. She put a protection from abuse on him so that he could not attend the board meetings that are open to the public. And he was even arrested over this. And he was arrested because he had gone into a grocery store that he didn't even know she was in, where she had been in for quite a while getting her groceries and everything, that was in his neighborhood, not even her neighborhood. And then he sees her,
Sounds like
and
a setup.
she called the police. And
It
they
sounds
even
like a setup.
right. And then the police go and check her car to see if he put a tracker on it. which they didn't find. But now, he has to go to court over this and everything, and he's not allowed to go to any of the meetings or anything or speak, all because she didn't like when he would go to the meetings and ask her questions about what she was doing, and she didn't like the questions.
Wow, if I did that as a board member, they would drum me out of town so fast.
Officer came to arrest him. He said to him, he quoted the reason that she was allowed to do this was because of a case called State versus Heffron. And I immediately said to him, no, 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 that case has nothing to do with what that officer just quoted to you. He probably doesn't even know what it's really about. His superior just told him, hey, quote this case. So
Yeah, well, it makes it sound like they know what they're talking about, right?
So I told him what the case was about, and it had to do with sexual and domestic abuse, which is nothing what his case is about. And so then I said to him, you need to go and ask them if he could, can he still go to this meeting, because State versus Heffron is nothing to do with what his case is about. And he did it, but I don't know the results of it right now. But pretty amazing that they'll use these cases against you and you go, oh, and you don't even know what they are.
Yeah, that's crazy. All righty. So we're gonna keep this short and wind it up, but
the bottom line is, everybody out there, you need to know your rights. You need to look up these cases. Be aware, because if you think it can't happen to you, none of us sitting here thought it could happen.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. It's not like you see on Law and Order. The good guy doesn't always win, and it could happen to anybody. So that's why we're here, is because it happened to us and we want to help people. So thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And look back for us, because we'll be back.
Yep, we will be back with another short video in a couple of weeks to a month. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Wicked Lies. If you would like to learn more about advocates for the falsely accused, join us at www.theaffa.org. That's www.theaffa.org.